The Ablekuma North constituency has been without a member of parliament for the past 6 months. That is about to change. On Friday, the Electoral Commission will conduct fresh election in some 19 polling stations where the commission says there are some issues there. On the back of what happened in 2024 December, the constituency went to elect a new member of parliament, but there were issues there. The Electoral Commission issued a statement last week saying that it's going to rerun elections in these 19 polling stations. The biggest opposition party, the NPP, says it is boycotting the election in these polling stations. But the party's candidate in the last election says she is going to contest. What does the party make of this new move by the parliamentary candidates and the decision of the party not to contest in this election? Today on the Situation Room, we'll be in the Ablekuma North constituency to find out what constituents think or make of the elections that's supposed to take place on Friday.
No matter how far you run away, you always come back to where you started.
All time for top guns.
Tortured, mutilated, fingers cut off.
I can lend you the money. My boss believes in giving players another chance.
You don't know what to do if you don't have the money to pay back. Come and listen to me.
Sir, it's done. Good. 1 week, that is all you got to pay up.
You've been gambling.
Unfortunately, we're still chasing shadows. He's clearing the board to make way for something bigger.
How could you do this to us, God? Who's there?
I can fix this.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiaf, and as usual, I do this show with my friend and brother, but today we have another brother joining us. He started this show way back, but some things came up, so he had to leave. But today, we drag him into the studio to be part of today's discussion as we discuss the Ablekuma North constituency, where the Electoral Commission says on Friday it is going to conduct fresh elections in some 19 polling stations, which is in dispute as far as the parliamentary result in the last election is or was concerned. As usual, my name is Sami Wiaf. Fred Jabano joins me, and Umaru Sanda Amaru.
Why have you called Fred your friend and brother? But me,
I said
you just
two
said
of my brothers will join me.
But me, I'm also your friend
Two
and
of my
brother.
brothers.
What is this?
Sanda, how are you? It's been a while. We saw you on Situation.
Yeah. I was busy organizing underground for the Ablekuma election results.
Oh, you've been there already?
Yeah, I was working on the ground. I mean, because I've lived in Ablekuma North before. In fact, until 2 or 3 years ago, I was a constituent of Ablekuma North. So I am not happy that we didn't have a representation. I don't want us to be constituency without representation or taxation without representation. So I am happy that finally we are going to get a member of parliament. For
you lived in that constituency. Tell us the major, will I say towns or areas in this particular constituency?
So I lived in South Odoko. Okay, it depends on who I'm talking to. I may say to the person I'm living in South Odoko if I want to look like a village boy. But then I could also say that I'm in Sakaman. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I'll come back to you, but let's go to the constituency. Our colleague Fauzu Masaudu is there to gauge the mood of residents ahead of tomorrow's election or Friday's election. He joins us on Zoom or Live Park, right, to tell us what really is happening on the ground. Fauzu, if you can hear me, tell us what's happening in the Ablekuma North constituency.
They are just abusing the power they have, the very power conferred on them by the Constitution, which talks about fundamental human rights. Look at what is happening. Look at what is happening. Now the mandate of the people of Ablekuma North is being undermined. The Constitution is being undermined. Rule of law is being undermined. So we want to stand in for the people.
No.
The voices that the people couldn't have actually applied or used.
Honorable, but clearly both parties alluded to the fact that there were some inconsistencies with verifying the
about these things.
Okay.
God is our witness.
Okay.
You know MPP more. They know. Why don't they have their pin sheets? Then DC we had ours. So why wouldn't they bring them? Why? Because they have power. They are abusing power. This is what they've been doing all the time.
Honorable.
But the point is that you keep on arguing with me. It's your future.
No, I'm not
a
arguing.
country that democracy is being undermined, a country that human rights being undermined, a country that our constitution is not being respected, a country that institutions are being undermined. Think about your future. Is this right, what they are doing? It's not right. They did the same, Akwatia. Look at the same thing. They had to go to court for court rulings before. This is what they've been doing. Then these guys do not believe in, the constitution, adherence to the rule of law. And that is very dangerous. They are setting bad precedents. They are placing Ghana on a very vulnerable platform. And we are not going to allow that. Thank you very much.
So, Honorable, what are the chances of the party tomorrow? Because people are...
I really don't know.
You don't really don't.
Preaching to the people. See how they are very...
Do you think has your message resonated with them?
Talk later. Why?
Has it resonated with them? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So, Member of Parliament for Ishiaso constituency, Honorable Stephen Amwa, who has stormed the Ablekuma North constituency to campaign for the party's candidates in tomorrow's Rerun, Nana Ekwia Owusu Efriye.
Fazul, so aside Sticker or the Ishiaso Member of Parliament, have you seen any other MPP bigwigs in the constituency campaigning? Hello, Fazul. I'm afraid Fazul is unable to hear. But
the loud music of Sticker's car is making him not hear.
no,
Yes.
but Sanda, isn't it not surprising that a party has given directive that they are boycotting an election, and then the same party members are seen in the constituency campaigning for the candidates?
You have always told me that when it comes to constituency elections, it is local, it's not national.
Yeah.
So let national do their
Deal
own.
with their national things.
Let constituency do their thing. I think that's the sense I get. Now, I think Ekwia Efriye is a former member of parliament.
Yeah.
So she's not someone who will just sit down and watch things go by. Of course, she's representing a political party. And if you defy your party, it's a punishable offense. But if she defies a party and goes to win the seat tomorrow, would the party be happy or not? That's the first thing. I do not like the fact that there's double speak happening, because if your national executives say we are not going into an election, we are not going to an election. In 1992, the MPP said we are boycotting the parliamentary election. Everybody boycotted. Yeah. Nobody. If you went to contest, you are going on your own. So they boycotted the election, and they said it was a stolen verdict. So they didn't show up in parliament. If the party gives a directive and says we are not running for Ablekuma North or rerunning in Ablekuma North, it means we are not. And she is part of the party, so the we here would include her. So I'm quite surprised. And you see, it was not a caveat. The comment or statement that was made by the party's chief scribe did not have a caveat that said we would or we would not, or it would depend on what the local people say. In fact, at a point, we were told that everything had gone national. So we couldn't even interview constituency executives or Efriye and all of those people. Everything was happening by the national. They said to us that because they are in court. Now, my difficulty is that, is it the case that if Efriye or Efriye is interpreting the decision of the court to mean what the party was waiting for? The party's General Secretary Deputy, Mohammed Haruna, when I spoke to him on Eyewitness, made it clear that the fact that the injunction application has been thrown away does not mean that the case has been determined. Because mind you, there's a full case that has to be dealt with, a major issue. And the judge, in making the pronouncement, said, I am dismissing the application, but if eventually you win this, after whatever you go to court and you win, there should be redress for you. So it is very clear that the party is going with the fact that we have a matter in court, and so that matter is determined, we are not running. Ekwia Efriye may say that no, the first issue has been dealt with and that's why I'm running. But either way, it is not good. I asked Haruna Mohammed a direct question. I said, now that you said you are not going to, you are boycotting, what if your party people show up and vote and your candidate is elected? You have called the election, so her party is calling tomorrow's election an illegality. So it means they are watching their candidate engage in an illegality. They are watching a member of parliament, a lawmaker representing the people of Ishiaso, carry pickup with big speakers and microphone. and come and engage people of Odoko, Dakuma Junction, all of those places, and tell them that come and engage in an illegality, I think there's a problem. We should hear from Justice Frimpong Kodia today, right about now. If they have decided in a quiet room somewhere that they are going to take part in the election, they should let Ghanaians know. Because right now, if you are an average NPP member in Odoko, if you are at Buzia Junction, a member of NPP, you are confused. You don't know whether tomorrow you are supposed to go and vote or not. Because here's the case, the chief executive of your party, the general secretary, has called a press conference and told you that Abanuyento, don't go and vote. So you have decided to throw your ID card away. Then your parliamentary candidate comes around and tells you that come and vote for me. What are you going to do? That confusion, you see, when we say the center cannot hold, this is a typical situation of that. And I think a lot of blame would go to the general secretary of the party, that if you say something should not be done, it means that the party members don't obey their chief scribe. I think that's a problem, Sami.
Okay, Sana, I get that. We'll go to Fauzi back to the constitution. But Fred, let me pick your initial thought on it. You're surprised MPP members are on the ground campaigning when the party has issued a clear directive on this one?
Sami, surprised?
Or confusion,
You know, I've been with you here for so many weeks, and I've told you that the MPP, as it stands now,
confusion,
has a lot of problems they haven't resolved. But to be fair to Efie and the rest of her supporters, we had an interview with her this afternoon. Let's get to listen to Efie on why she has taken the decision to defy the party, and then maybe we can make sense of the direction now. Yeah. So we had an interview, my colleague Fauzu Masawudu had an interview earlier with Efie, and this is what she said.
You asked me a question. Are you contesting? I'm contesting.
Yeah, and I'm asking because this week you had a press conference here, and the national executive said they are pulling out of that election. That is
nobody is. I am contesting.
So how far would you campaign?
People, you see the way. You see the way there.
So how far are you campaigning? What's the preparations ahead of tomorrow?
We are fully prepared. What prepared for? Tomorrow we are going for this contest, and in the first place, I want to say a big thank you to Almighty God for protecting us throughout the 7 months. We went for election on 7th December, and I won this election with 34,613. My opponent had 34,199. We collated this thing together. My polling agents, their polling agents, we went through all that. And we have now collated 278 polling stations. Those 278 polling stations, I am leading. I am leading with 349. 349. We were left with 3 polling stations. And then the Electoral Commission came to Parliament, swore under oath that we are left with 3 polling stations. Overnight, we didn't know what happened. And then they said we are going to go back and collate 19 polling stations. Now, what I want to say or put on record is that darkness can never cover light. I am the light. I am the truth and the light. I walk with gracious God. I keep saying and mentioning God all the time, that you can never cheat me and go scot-free. The Lord is going to talk tomorrow. Justice will prevail tomorrow. I am contesting. I want Ablekuma North. Everybody should hear me and hear my voice. I am contesting this election, and I am coming out victorious because I want that election, and God will ensure that justice prevails.
Honorable, why did it take you so long to confirm today? Because most people, they were waiting for you to come out.
Thank you. People were waiting for me to come out. Yeah. Now, what it is that I knew I had won. And so I was waiting for the right thing. So that's why we went to court. Now, when we went to court, the judge says, look, go and contest, as EC has said. Okay. It means I have to step up. Sure. I have to start, campaigning. Sure. And that is obvious. I mean, it's clear that if you had been the one you will still exercise patience and wait for what the court will say. If the injunction had succeeded, that's fine. Then we'll go back to the drawing table. But now, please let me wait small. So after that, then I have to recoup myself, come back together and see. So when I realized that the support is so massive, people were coming here asking me to contest, not to withdraw. They are going to vote for me, and that they voted for me, and so I shouldn't relent. My dear, I won. I am not afraid of anybody. I am a politician. Yes. I am standing firm and go through this contest. And trust me, tomorrow you hear my name. The MP elect in Ablekuma North is Nana Ekuya Owusu every year.
So that is Nana Ekuya Owusu every year. Nana Ekuya Owusu every year says that, look, she believes that the court made a pronouncement with the injunction application. And once the court says that the election should go on, and looking at the figures now from the collated 200 polling stations, she is in a pole position to win this particular election. Hence, she's not going to follow the directive of the party. She's saying that the constituents and members of the constituency, the MPP members within the constituency and constituents have been trooping to her house even after the injunction application was heard. And they are asking her and pushing her to go contest. So she's taking a decision to go contest against the party's position, which is we are not going into the election.
But that will come with some sanctions because the party has taken a clear decision and you want to defy the party's decision or directive. It may come with some sanctions or some consequences.
That is true. Basami, there are two scenarios here. The woman goes into the election tomorrow and wins the constituency for the party. Will you sanction her?
That's the question.
You would sanction her because she's actually added the numbers. If she goes and she loses, then yes, there's a problem. But you see, like I started before, the MPP has a fundamental problem which hasn't been resolved. A problem of leadership, a problem of direction, a problem of someone calling to order everybody in the party.
No chief whip in the party, that's what you're saying.
There's no chief whip. There are leaders, but there's no whip. That's the issue.
So everybody's doing it in
everybody is doing. That's the issue with the MPP. The leadership of the party says we are not going to contest. You have a certain MP going into the constituency to go and campaign. You see,
and the presidential aspirant giving money to the candidate.
That's what we hear. That's what we hear, that a particular presidential aspirant is also supporting with some financial resources to support and boost her campaign in the last 2 days. So I mean, this MPP this election is also a power play amongst the leaders of the party who want to lead the party in 2028.
You mean the presidential aspirants?
In the presidential elections. Because look at Sticker. Where does he come from?
Yeah, he worked, yeah.
Who does he support? Yeah. The other presidential candidate we hear is also from a different stock. You understand? The party has not been able to put its acts together. And they are now allowing their divisions and the leaderlessness of the party to drive them into this place.
Okay.
On the issue of contesting, Sami, you've gone into an election. There's been a number of polling stations which have been counted. You have a few left. Why would you want to withdraw? Where the place, the particular constituency is a stronghold of the party. And so we'll go through the
numbers,
and you see how strong the MPP is. What is the problem? Why is the MPP withdrawing? It's also a question we should be asking.
But I'll come back to you. Let's go on Zoom and speak to Davis Owusu-Ansah. He's the Member of Parliament for the Impaiso constituency in the Eastern region. He wrote something on Facebook asking the party's decision not to contest as a bad one. And so the party should give the candidate a free opportunity to contest in the election, since it is a stronghold of the MPP, the constituency, and that given the party's candidate all the resources needed, she may be in a position to win the seat for the MPP in Parliament. He joins us on Zoom, to speak to us about this post he put out on Facebook. Davis, if you can hear me, Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Sammy. Sammy, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. You have said that the party's decision not to contest this election in the 19 polling station was a bad one. And so the candidate should be given opportunity and given all the resources to run or contest this election. Why do you think it's a bad decision?
Well, I think, first of all, let me premise my submission on the fact that the earlier decision by the party, the fact that we're not going to contest, but we resort to the law court, was clearly one that we thought that we had some legal backings and that we're going to win the court case. At least there will be an injunction on the election tomorrow. But that is not the case. The election is coming on tomorrow. Candidate that will be presented in the 2024 general election will have his face on the ballot paper. And I think it's fair on our part to contest. I mean, this is not a constituency that is a difficult constituency for the MPP. This is a constituency that in 2016 we won with over 38,000 votes. In 2020 we won with over 24,000 votes. It's just that in the last election, 2024, Ghanaian people did not come out to vote. But even if you look at the results, look at what happened in 2020, look at what happened in 2024, in these 19 polling stations, I can tell you that the PFA won in the 19 polling stations. So what is it that we are afraid of? Yes, we want to protect the rule of law, but I feel that the court case and the elections could run concurrently. I mean, we could be pursuing the court case as well as pursuing this very elections. I mean, because it takes a lot. I have contested for elections. I know what it takes. I mean, for somebody to say that he or she wants to avail himself to contest for elections, it demands a lot. I mean, and so we need to go in there. And at the heart of this one is representation. The people of Ablekuma North want somebody to represent them in Parliament. In 2024, we submitted a KFEA as our candidate, and the people voted for KFEA. I mean, the figures, if you look at what we have seen, clearly, the KFEA won. And so what is it that we are afraid of? Let's go in there, grab the seat, the KFEA to our numbers, and make sure the NDC do not get absolute majority in Parliament. That is what is at stake.
But if you say that in these 19 police stations, you want majority of them, why is the Electoral Commission organizing fresh elections there when indeed you claim that you won in these majority of these police stations?
See, at the heart of this whole argument is that the Electoral Commission says that their pink sheets were destroyed by some tax from the NDC. The MPP has our pink sheets ready. The NDC says that they cannot find their pink sheets. So if the Electoral Commission is saying that we should go and vote, which is not fair, let's go in there and vote. I mean, there have been MPs who sat in Parliament, had issues in Parliament, but they were sworn in, and subsequently a court of competent jurisdiction decided otherwise. And they were stripped of their position. It happened in the case of Adabu Dramani. It happened in the case of Jesse Question. So why are we running away from it? Even if tomorrow we lose this election, granted that we do not even win this election and we pursue the case, and the court decides that the processes or the procedure the Electoral Commission took were wrong and that there's a need for them to go and collate the 3 police stations. I mean, we have virtually lost nothing. So let's present to the people of Ablekuma a representation. And
hello, Davis. Hello, Davis. I'm afraid the internet is not our best of friends at the moment. But then he was explaining why he feels that the party should have contested this whole election in the Ablekuma North constituency. Why the decision of the party not to contest was a bad one. Okay, Davis joins us back on this way. So my final question. I can see you driving. Are you in the constituency campaigning yourself?
I just moved from one polling station. I'm going to the other. I'm engaging voters. I'm engaging persons who will be voting tomorrow. And so we are very confident of victory tomorrow.
Finally, before I let you go, understand that the gentleman you support to be the next presidential candidate of the MPP, Dr. Brian Echampo, has made some resources available to the candidate in question, Madam Kwefiye. Is that the case? Can you confirm that?
I don't think that's a subject for public discussion. I mean, even me as MP, I've supported. And so you should expect that Brian, in his capacity as somebody wanting to lead the party and believing strongly that the party should contest, will contribute. But I'm not here to confirm or otherwise or even mention amounts. I strongly believe that in this game, there are three things involved. You need a strong machinery, you need a solid message, and you also need money. And I'm not here to touch on what somebody is contributing. Brian went out of the country, is coming this evening and is going to join the campaign to mobilize and whip support to ensure that the KFA wins tomorrow. That for me is the most important thing.
Okay, Umaru here. So
yeah, Umaru.
Now that your party has said tomorrow's exercise is an illegality, and you are in there supporting an illegality, you are essentially defying your general secretary. That's a sanctionable offense, isn't it?
I mean, a KFA will win tomorrow, and when she wins, we should all be sanctioned. I mean, we are ready for it.
So that you are encouraging indiscipline and disobedience. See, this is defiance of leadership.
I'm not. See, at the heart of this representation is a representation. If you think that the people of Ablekuma should not have proper representation, we believe in the MPP that our candidate is better than that of the NDC. Why would we want to allow somebody that we believe that we have a better candidate to be leading the people of Ablekuma North? Constituency that is ours, the stronghold of the MPP.
But we are acting,
so that one,
but we are acting on the
assumption. I mean,
we're acting on the assumption that your leaders know better. Are you suggesting otherwise?
I'm sure that by this evening you will see the general party, the general secretary, and everybody on the grounds campaigning. It's a party affair. We have the symbol of the party is on the ballot tomorrow. I'm not too sure the Electoral Commission will be striking out the image of a carefree and that of the NPP on the ballot tomorrow. The symbol of the party is on the ballot tomorrow, and that is what we are protecting.
Okay.
We are going to ensure that she wins the elections tomorrow.
Polls are yet to open. If Justin Frimpong Kodia is listening to you now, what would you say to him in reference to tomorrow's election?
Well, I'm urging my good friend to quickly convene a NEC meeting. NEC meetings can be done via phone. NEC meetings can be done on Zoom. They should quickly convene a NEC meeting and revise the decision that was taken earlier so that Free and the entire party can zoom straight into Ablekuma North so that we win the seat tomorrow. It is our seat. We cannot allow this seat to go.
Davis, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Davis Opoku Ansah is the Member of Parliament for the Mpaiso constituency in the Eastern region. He's in the Ablekuma North constituency. He's in the Ablekuma North constituency campaigning for Ekwe-Efie, the MPP's parliamentary candidate for that constituency. The party says it's not going to contest the election, but then the candidate has defied that directive and says she's going to contest. And so Davis Opoku, as well as Dr. Dr. Stephen Amwa, a Member of Parliament for Nshiaso, are all in the constituency campaigning for Ekwe-Efie to become the next Member of Parliament for the Ablekuma North constituency here in the Greater Accra region.
Sami, you know when you watch football commentary, the tree version, they say "I pinso." That's what I'm seeing there, and this is wrong. This is wrong on all levels, on all levels. But you can bring it.
But as I want to side with Fred that there's no leadership in the MPP.
Oh,
I agree.
GFK, the people are saying you are not.
There's unity. I agree. Because if the whole general secretary has given a directive at a press conference, media presence,
and people are saying,
and say, oh, I forget.
I think he's from Kumasi. I would have said to him, GFK, in tree they say what? What the? That's what my people are saying in Ghana. But yes, it's a problem, Sammy.
It's a problem.
And listen, if this goes unchecked and unpunished, and if the party, in fact, what betides JFK, if the party wins tomorrow, because if the lady wins the seat tomorrow,
that's it.
Yeah, because like, first of all, it will be an issue of indecision, and it will be a wrong discretion or indiscretion, and it will be a wrong choice, and everything would have gone against you. Now, if she loses, then the people who support her and herself will then see the test of JFK's strength, whether or not he can punish them. Flip this. General Mosquito, national chairman, NDC, says we won't go to Tyne to go and run, and then you want to go and run. Would it happen? Would we see the same? No. You see, the Mosquito has a grasp of his party. Fifi Kwete is new. He appears to have a grasp of his party. But I'm not sensing that. Stephen Intim is a chairman. He's not well. And the leader of the party is the chairman. But the general secretary wields a lot of power. And so for us to be seeing what we are seeing, is it the case that the office of the NPP party headquarters is not aware that a decision was made yesterday in court? In fact, even that decision that was made by the court warrants a statement, a public statement that says, okay, we stand by what we said earlier, or we have changed our decision based on the new developments. You can always say that. You can say that based on fresh developments from the court, we would go into that contest. You remember President Akufo-Addo, when he was candidate and the election petition results were determined, he said he did not agree with them, but he has no choice than to go with it. So you can say that you don't agree with what the court has said. You do not agree with the rerun. But to the extent that it has to do with representing the people of Ablekuma North, and to the extent that you're a party that says your motto is development in freedom, and you want to see development in freedom in Ablekuma North, you would go. It is called grudgingly. So we are going into that election grudgingly. We are going reluctantly, and we are very certain that we win. So party members, hey, come out and show to the NDC that we are not dead. The elephant is not dead. This is a very good campaign message. And it is even your stronghold. If you win, you can then say that, listen, we told you people that in 2024, our people didn't come out. That's why we lost. Now you see our people came out and we've won. You are going to energize the base of your party. But this headless chicken movement that I'm seeing, it doesn't work well for a party that has led this country for 16 years in the past. I think something is wrong. And like OPK said, he should convene a NEC meeting now and reverse this.
It's not too late. Election is just tomorrow.
Yes, or come out again and say that we stand by a decision. So AKFREA and OPK and Sika and all of those people in the constituency campaign stop now because the party does not sanction it. But currently what's happening, that's a problem.
Yes, indeed, that's a problem. We'll go for a quick break. But before that, Fred will take us through the numbers in the constituency, especially the 19 polling stations that the Electoral Commission is expected to organize this fresh elections in. But then before Fred does that, we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, Fred will take us through it. Then we'll go to Fauzi Masaudu. He's in the constituency, having an interaction with constituents and what their feeling is like ahead of the election tomorrow.
What's better than your bestie? A bestie with blockbusters and bedtime cartoons. GoTV streams your fave soaps, sports, and the loudest laughs. No extra charge, just internet connection. Your shows, your vibes, your anytime, anywhere bestie. GoTV Stream. Download it now.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Situation Room, coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. My name is Sami Wiafe, and I'm here with Umaru Sandamadu and Fred Tete Jabona. We are discussing the Ablekuma North constituency. As you're aware, the Electoral Commission would on Friday conduct fresh elections in some 19 polling stations in that constituency. It comes on the back of the Commission's own decisions as far as the parliamentary election in that constituency is concerned. We'll go to the constituency now, where the NDC is mounting a strong campaign or a rally in that constituency to get party supporters to come out and vote ahead of tomorrow's election.
All right, yes, can you hear me? I'm coming to you live from the Odoko station, exactly Chimame. One of the polling stations expected to have a rerun tomorrow, and a number of the NDC hierarchy have stormed the constituency to campaign for their party. I'm currently joined by CEO for the National Youth Authority, Osman Ayariga.
Yes, please.
You're live on Situation Room. Osman, why is this important? Why is this exercise important for the party ahead of tomorrow's rerun?
Yes, we want to make sure we continue to protect our majority seats in Parliament. And we believe the Ablekuma North constituency was a seat we convincingly won, but for the issues that stalled the final collation of the results. So we want to make sure we completely protect our gains. And that is why the youth wing of the NDC is here to do the final touches for tomorrow's rerun. So we can assure you that, God willing, tomorrow by this time, we will be adding another seat to the NDC's majority.
Why is the NDC so confident about winning this seat? In fact, this is a very safe seat for the New Patriotic Party. Why is the NDC so confident of clinching this one this time round?
Because the good people of Ghana on December 7, 2024 sounded a very huge change to the entire country. They sent a huge message to the entire country that Ghanaians were willing to change the MPP. And in most unconventional seats, the NDC won most of them. So Ablekuma North is no exception. And inshallah, tomorrow we'll pick it.
The New Patriotic Party, in the initial argument about boycotting the election, maintained that they had really indeed won this election, and so there's no need for a rerun. If the NDC also believed they had won the election, why didn't the NDC push for a completion or a recollation exercise for, a winner to be determined
if the MPP believe they won it and they can win it, the human beings haven't changed. It's the same people who are going to vote. So they should convince them to come out and vote tomorrow for them. It's as simple as that. If they believe they won it, then a rerun should settle the score. Because most of the polling stations and the ballot papers were destroyed during the collation. But tomorrow we are going to protect almost every ballot paper, almost every polling station. So we just want to warn them that tomorrow we are expecting to be a very peaceful day. We don't want any form of violence. No MPP person should come around to torment any trouble or violence. But we are ready to win this.
And is this an assurance you can also give that you are going to ensure that your people...
We are in for peace. We are in for peace. That's why we are campaigning and we are not boycotting. We are in for peace. So we expect all political parties to be in for peace, especially the MP.
What's the NDC strategy for tomorrow?
The people will come out and vote. That is our only strategy. The people will come out and vote.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So you heard from the Deputy Youth Organizer for the NDC, Osman Ayariga. I'm also joined by Hamza Suini. He's a leading communicator for the National Democratic Congress. And we are live on Situation Newsroom. You have been busy in the constituency.
Absolutely.
Why is this exercise important for the party, and what signal are you taking on ground?
It is simply a demonstration of our commitment to our democratic principles as a republic, and most importantly as a political party that appreciates the fundamental principles of democratic representation. So this is to respect our constitutional principles and our democratic ethos, and also to a very large extent demonstrate our respect to the good people of this constituency, because we know that unlike what happened in Seoul, this could have happened to this constituency. So despite the fact that we are dealing with 19 polling stations, we must let the people know that every vote counts and that every vote will contribute meaningfully to expanding the frontiers of our democracy. And the National Democratic Congress in particular, we do not take the votes of the ordinary Ghanaian lightly. So it is a demonstration of how we value the people. It is a demonstration of how we are committed to getting them representation in Parliament as a political party.
Hamza, people have argued that the NDC, for instance, right from the beginning of this dispute, has been pushing for a rerun, especially when the party, John Mahama was declared president. And that is because they say you want to ride on incumbency to, you know, play to your advantage in the constituency. Hence, your call for a rerun. Is that
I think that it is not accurate. Why? If the MPP was engaged in politics of that nature, the National Democratic Congress is not a party that takes advantage of incumbency. This is not declared by the National Democratic Congress. The rerun is declared by the Electoral Commission. And these are commissioners the NPP themselves appointed, remember. So, and we have had issues with the commission, and we continue to have issues with that particular commission. So what we are doing today is simply in line with the principles of the National Democratic Congress. Even in other by-elections, when we had issues with the electoral process, we still contested. You remember what they did to us in Ayawaso West Wagon? And even in the last election, 2024, we had issues with the electoral register, but that didn't compel us to boycott the electoral process. So that is the difference between us and the NPP. And I can tell you with all certainty that we are not in any way influencing the decisions of the Electoral Commission, and we are not doing this to take advantage of incumbency. Absolutely not.
Does a rerun, does this rerun scheduled for tomorrow settle your issues with the EC?
It does not. We have been consistent. We feel that what we are going through, the exercise we are going through, is still a manifestation of the incompetence of the EC. Because this situation was clearly avoidable. And we are convinced that we'll won that particular election. But they allowed the MPP to take advantage of the process, and that is what has led us to this stage. So nothing changes as far as our position on the Electoral Commission is concerned. Nothing changes.
What's the strategy of the party for tomorrow?
Oh, clearly, it is to man the ballots like we did in the last election on the 7th of December, because we are not going to rely on the Electoral Commission and the security agencies. We know that we have our internal mechanisms, and we are going to activate same. The same way we protected the last election, this election will be protected even in a much better fashion.
Will the NDC accept the outcome of tomorrow's polls regardless?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even when we disagreed, with elections in the past, we respected the outcome of those elections. That has always been the trade in stock of the National Democratic Congress. And I can assure you that this election is not going to be any different.
Does the ground look fertile for you?
Absolutely, very fertile.
Why do you say so?
I say so because, look, they still remember the message we sold to them. We made a number of promises in the last election, and it still holds. The National Apprenticeship Program, we spoke about the Ejumawura Program, we also spoke about the no fee stress, and many of them, His Excellency President Mahama has already proceeded to launch same. So, and we are committed to restoring the economy of this country. And you can bear testimony in terms of the fruits that are beginning to bear, largely because of the policies of this government. So I'm quite convinced that the Ghanaian people appreciate where we are coming from. And this constituency in particular will give us that mandate come tomorrow.
All right, thank you so much. Well, if you can hear me, this has been my conversation with a member of the National Democratic Congress communication team, Hamza Suwini, who have joined a number of the party officials to campaign in the Ablekuma North constituency. Precisely some of the disputed 19 polling stations expected to have a rerun tomorrow. We started from the other core station, but now we are in the heart of Chimame. If you are very familiar with the Ablekuma North constituency, you can tell that Chimame has been a hotspot for the constituency. In fact, out of the 19 polling stations expected to have a rerun tomorrow, 6 of them are coming, will be from this enclave. And so that should tell you how important, this particular community or area in the Ablekuma North constituency is important for both political parties, that's the NPP and the NDC. Earlier we spoke to the candidates for the New Patriotic Party, who really confirmed that she was contesting the election. The National Democratic Congress are saying that due to the goodwill of the President John Dramani Mahama, they believe strongly that tomorrow will be their day. A number of them have thrown the constituency to wrap up. A number of the executives have thrown the constituency to campaign for the party, and it's a retail strategy actually. They mentioned that they will be doing more of house to house, door to door, and then to trickle down their various messages to persons expected to come out tomorrow to cast their ballot. It's been a very busy week, a political week for that matter, if you ask me. The New Patriotic Party has been campaigning, and currently the National Democratic Congress, led by the party's executives from the national level and some from the regional level, have also stormed the constituency to campaign for the party. They said they are not leaving any chances, they are not leaving any stone unturned. The deputy youth organizer, Osman Ayariga, also doubles as CEO for the National Youth Authority, expressed optimism. He believes that...
Alvin Masawad, my colleague in the Ablekuma North constituency, bringing us up to speed on campaign activities in that constituency. The MPP and some of its supporters are in there campaigning for their candidate, Ekwe, who says that she's going to contest in tomorrow's election, even though the party has given a clear directive that it is boycotting this election. The NDC already in the constituency campaigning to ensure that their candidate, Rabah Obne, is elected as a parliamentary member of parliament for the Ablekuma North constituency here in the Greater Accra region. We'll come back in studio and talk to Fred. Fred will give us a breakdown of the number of polling stations in the constituency, the ones which are in dispute, where elections are going to take place on Friday, and the number of voters in these various polling stations as far as the elections for tomorrow is concerned. Fred.
Sammy, so when we go to the Ablekuma North constituency, we have 219 polling stations within the constituency. Okay. In the same constituency, the total number of registered voters is 121,269.
A huge one.
Yes, that's the total number of registered voters. Out of these 219 polling stations, so far, 200 have been collated. So you would recall that within December and January, there were issues with collation, which even went to court. And when they went to court, there were about 62 polling stations which were in dispute, where the court ordered that the EC goes back to collate with the political parties. This collation process began, and we are told by the MPP that they were able to clear all these 62 and was left with 3 to be completed. The NDC still insisted that they had about 60-something polling stations which they believe needed to be collated. The issue here was that there were no proper sheets, collation sheets from the various polling stations, which should have been brought to the collation center to be collated. So what they had was a scanned sheet from the MPP, which the NDC was opposed to. It was a back and forth, as you would recall. It went to Parliament. Parliament invited the EC. The EC indicated that they had issues with security and that they were left with 3. Not long after, the EC comes back and says they had a meeting with the political parties. They realized that some of the scanned sheets they were not able to verify these scanned sheets. So out of the 219, they have collated 200. What is left is 19 outstanding polling stations to be collated. Out of these 19, when you put the voters in these 19 constituency polling stations together, you have 6,839 people.
Can decide an election.
Voters who are going to decide this particular election with 19 polling stations. Already we hear the MPP candidate saying that she's leading with about 300 and something votes. That is what, close to 400 votes. That's what the MPP tells us. 219 polling stations, 200 collated, 19 left, 6,839 are supposed to now decide where the election goes. So which of the 19 polling stations are we looking at? We are looking at the God First International School. This is in Nyameche, within the constituency. This is a community within the constituency. It has 1 polling station.
Okay.
I mean, you have been driving around the Nyameche area a lot, so you know the place. But when you look at the history of the results from this particular polling station, you can say that the Nyameche polling area, that particular area, is predominantly an MPP-dominated area. So the MPP performs very well within this area. We go to Kwashiman. In Kwashiman, we have the Pentecost Church, Mount Zion Assembly. Kwashiman is also said to be basically an MPP stronghold within the constituency when you look at the community. Awoshi is another place within the community. And in Awoshi, there are 2 polling stations which will be partaking in this particular election. The DVLA office and the Asiedu Jedu Memorial School. These are the 2 polling stations where we would have elections. Awoshi, we are also told, looking at the figures in the last 8-12 years, is a strong MPP area. As to whether the particular polling stations would go for the MPP, that we cannot tell now. We go to Bintu. The Bintu area has 1 polling station, that is the Living Stream Day Nursery School. This is around the Kwashibu area. Yeah. And within this Kwashibu area, we are told that when you look at the figures, it's largely or predominantly NDC. They perform very well within this Kwashibu Bintu area. We go to Kwashibu itself. And as I said, Bintu, Kwashibu, quite close to each other, and the NDC performs well. In Kwashibu itself, we have the Lord's Pentecostal Church. It has 1 polling station which will be engaged in election tomorrow. Then we have Trimami. In Trimami, we have about 7 polling stations within the Trimami polling area. Yeah. So we have Presby Church Odoko, we have Church of Pentecost, North Odoko 4, Methodist Church Odoko 1. We have St. John the Baptist Catholic Church Odoko 1, Radiant Way Preparatory School, North Odoko 2, and Atiko School Complex Odoko. Atiko is a very popular
Atiko
place.
very well.
Yes, we used to go there often. You stopped taking me there. But yes, Atiko. So this has the largest number of polling stations. The Trimami area has the largest number.
In Fauzi's report, he even mentioned it.
Yes,
that out of 19, I think it has the majority.
Yes, has 7.
Them, yeah.
Partaking in tomorrow's election. Otanten has 2. South Odoko 4 and 5 school. Then Pentecost Church, Trinidad 2. They will be partaking in this particular election.
That's where I was living when I lived in South Odoko. So they call it Trinidad.
Yeah.
So South Odoko, lakeside, not lakeside, they have this lake, the lagoon, lagoon, on the Sakaman Road. So to the right, Buzia Junction, all those areas. In fact, the former MP for the area, Joe Apia, lives in this Trinidad area. So it is interesting to see whether he would also be on the campaign with them. He's an MPP person, and that constituency has generally been MPP, like you said. So it will be interesting to see what happens in this particular area. And generally, it's an MPP dominant area, because where I lived, the area was all, MPP generally. That's what I just wanted to add.
So that's the Otanten electoral area, that side. Now we have Akwebu. In Akwebu, we have 2 polling stations, the Light of Gospel Miracle Chapel, Trinidad 2, and we have MTTD Odoko Devotional Station, Odoko 1. These 2 places would also be involved in tomorrow's area. Then Sakaman, that's also a place you live.
Yeah, so Sakaman, if you're coming from Weja, if you're coming from Malan Junction, the first traffic light, that's Sakaman Junction. Then that whole area to the right is Sakaman.
That's where you branch heading towards Dansoman.
That's right. So it's like the boundary town between Ablekuma North and Ablekuma West. So Sakaman, crucial, going close to Dansoman, like Sami has said, but it's on the right side of the main Odoko Road. Yeah.
So these are the 19 polling stations which will partake in this particular elections, and it gives you a breakdown of the total number of voters per polling station. You start with the Pentecost Church, Mount Zion Assembly, Kwashiman, 635 people will be voting in that particular area. We have God First International School, Dakuman 1, 428. DVLA Office, Awoshi, 2, 613. Asiedu Jedu Memorial School, Awoshi 1, 418. Living Stream Day Nursery School, Kwashibu 1, 427. The Lord's Pentecostal Church, Kwashibu 562. Presby Church, Odoko 4, 110. Church of Pentecost, North Odoko, 63. Church of Pentecost, North Odoko 4, 137. Methodist Church, Odoko 1, 464. St. John the Baptist Catholic Church, Odoko 1, 341. Radiant Way Preparatory School, North Odoko 2, 266. Attico School Complex, Odoko 646. We have the South Odoko 4 and 5 School, Odoko 3, 51 people. The MTTD Odoko Divisional Station, Odoko 1, 113 people will be voting here. The Roman Catholic Church, Buzia Junction, Odoko 1, 538. Bethel Baptist Church, Sakaman 1, 428. Light of the Gospel Miracle Church, Trinibua 2, 188. Pentecost Church, Trinibua 2, 411. Total 6,839. So this is a breakdown of the 19 polling stations and the number of people who have been registered to vote in this particular polling stations.
Fred, this is a very big number, and to think that the difference between the two candidates in the disputed election is just 400, 6,800 is a big one. And because over 100,000 people are from that constituency, I think it is a big deal. And I really want us to see the contest happening there tomorrow. Now that the contest is wishy-washy, I'm not really sure whether it's a contest or it's a one-way race. But yeah, it is really an interesting thing to see tomorrow.
Yeah, an interesting place to see tomorrow. Let's look at the history of this particular constituency. As we all know, the Ablekuma North constituency has been a traditional MPP area, and the MPP has won most of the elections within this particular constituency, both presidential and parliamentary. We go to 2020 elections.
Right. I'm sorry to cut you, but we have to go back to the Ablekuma North constituency because we understand there's been some clashes between MPP supporters and NDC supporters in that area. Fawzi Masaudu join us again to give us details about these clashes in the constituency. I'm afraid we're able to bring you live pictures, but the information we are getting is that MPP supporters and NDC supporters, have clashed in the constituency. Both are campaigning ahead of Friday's election in 19 polling stations as announced by the Electoral Commission. We'll go back to the constituency to bring you live pictures, but then before that, Fred will take us through the history of that constituency. When we get a clearer picture, we'll go back to the constituency.
So as I mentioned earlier, the Ablekuma North constituency has been a traditional MPP constituency. This traditional MPP constituency, they win presidential, parliamentary. Let's look at the history from 2020 or 2016, but let's start with 2020, the last election before the 2024 elections. You had Sheila Bartels from the MPP, you have Ashele Mense Winfred from the NDC. You look at the votes for each party. The MPP won that particular parliamentary election with 54,544. With the MPP having NDC getting 29,704. You look at the difference, over 20,000 difference. Yeah. That is in the 2020 elections. You come to 2016. In the 2016 elections, you had Nana Ekuya Owusu-Efriye, who is a candidate now. She then, in 2016, won the parliamentary elections over there. She had 54,698, with Sally Amakai Dako Atipo, NDC, having 26,813. You look at the difference again, over 20,000. So you now understand why the NDC believes that they can win this particular constituency this time round. When you look at the gap between the MPP and the NDC in the last elections, it's always been over 20,000. So now when you go into an election in 2024 and you hear that the MPP say they are in the lead with 400 votes, then it means there's something happening within the constituency. And this constituency has mirrored other constituencies across the country where the MPP had a stronghold or had a hand over the constituency. It's no surprise that the NDC is out there campaigning seriously. And I'll say it's also no surprise that you hear the MPP also backtracking, because you see, if you've lost your strongholds and there's one more which you think or it looks likely to lose, sometimes it's better to step back and say we didn't go at all. And then the other opposing side will say, look, this is ours. Let's push more. We would get. We may win this particular election. So now they are at a point where now the NDC believes that it is our election this time round. The MPP believes that, look, let's give it a try. The others say, don't let's just let go. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah. And for our viewers, and would let our viewers know that tomorrow we are bringing a full coverage of this particular election. It starts from 6 a.m. on all our platforms. Would give our listeners and viewers on Channel 1 TV and CTFM a full coverage of this from 6 a.m. to the very last vote and the last count.
His name is Fred Jabba. My name is Samir Yafi, and he is Umaru Sanda. We brought you Situation. We'd like him to live from our studios here in Accra. May the good Lord be with us all.